Hello, my name is Mosley and I'm the Technical Marketing Engineer for the Xpedition Data Management line of products. I'm here today to present our XDM design functionality, which is a comprehensive data management solution for work in process design data. It is being launched with the latest Xpedition release, and in this presentation I will show you how XDM design is part of a flow-wide information hub that manages the PCB design data that is created, reused, imported, or released from Mentor Graphics Xpedition Enterprise. If you've had a chance to review some of our other Xpedition webinars, you will have been introduced into the three primary challenges impacting your development organization. The primary challenge is that as design complexity has changed, so too have the tools and the data management challenges within those tools. And with distributed design teams, you need concurrent access to work and process information as you continue to do more work with less resources. And lastly, the trend of development has been towards a large system awareness or system level design, which is becoming increasingly difficult to manage, and many of your sub-projects are not system aware, and the desire to reuse existing design information is complicated by the lack of overall management and connectivity. Within Xpedition, we have developed a systems-aware engineering environment. At the core is where designs are authored, surrounded by each of the engineering disciplines. Each discipline will contribute their domain expertise to the core product and interact with the design, fostering a cross-domain collaboration. And by building on a common database, this structure fosters cross-domain collaboration and is what gets products built. And if we look at a typical design data management scenario, we can see how these roles are connected and how they can optimize work and process design collaboration. From a systems perspective, a systems engineer can define and control the multi-board interconnect and partition design into modules. Then a PCB designer can work within the context of these modules, create the PCB based on rules and connection information, and then track any connectivity changes they make or that have been made by systems engineers based on new requirements. Well, when a layout designer interacts with the PCB design, they need the ability to work from previous designs, work with their own independently managed version, and be certain that any layout that they have restored will contain all of the appropriate schematic capture changes. And with the need to manage high-speed simulation, a signal integrity engineer can ensure that their constraints and simulation reports have been executed on the proper version of the design data. Lastly, a manufacturing engineer can be assured that the design output data is all based on a common data set as opposed to pieces of data that are disconnected and simply delivered in an unintelligent zip file. And typically when we are sharing PCB data with external systems such as a PLM, we're using disconnected files in a release package. And if you look closer, their view of the data is inherently different. And by definition, they are unable to focus on the depth of information provided by your PCB environment. So although they manage information a mile wide, it is typically only an inch deep. With Xpedition, we focus on the depth of design data that is ever changing in your work and process environment. Things like schematics and how you can version the layout data independently and identify which versions are related using the front and back annotations. How component changes may affect the compliance of these designs that are not yet released, and where parts lists are generally not exposed as the design is being built. How simulation models can be associated and if simulation models or simulation was even executed on the design using approved models. How variant information is tracked within the schematics and how this information is associated to reuse elements. For your PCB design data, you don't need to just manage the high-level view of several output files and zip packages. You need to ensure the accuracy, the integrity, and the security of this data. The Xpedition data management infrastructure provides a solution by enabling a spoke and hub approach to supporting system design, schematic, PCB, high-speed and simulation, bidirectional enterprise communication, and integrating manufacturing. And the flow-wide hub and spoke approach manages the complexity of the tool interactions and dependencies. Within the environment, you can manage access and security for each of these perspectives. Specifically within the systems design context, you can define multiple sub-projects, including independent secure access and approval for each element, traceability of the schematic with multiple versions and historical information, ability to independently version the PCB and even track incoming changes from contract manufacturers. Simulation and analysis can be done on specific design versions, and the output results can also be associated and viewed within the design package. By providing a collaboration client, we offer view to this data as it's being developed, and with the ability to conduct design reviews and even approve design data from a tablet. And when you're ready to send your data to a manufacturer, you can ensure that the design data that is extracted is accurately associated and hasn't been manually modified, and most importantly, it's secure. So as a single comprehensive data management solution for your work in progress designs, the XDM infrastructure can ensure that accuracy, the integrity, and security of the PCB data that I spoke of earlier. It connects disciplines by first providing work in process data management. And integrated work and process data management goes beyond just the common check-in and check-out methodology. It can augment and integrate the design process by providing engineers with a central desktop for the design flow with automatic traceability of design changes. And now critical milestones within the process can be tracked and easily restored, understanding the impact across those multiple disciplines. And secondly, the hub approach provides a cohesive collaboration environment that takes a central data access approach and provides seamless project status metrics with upcoming capabilities to redline and markup ECAD design information from your web or smart device. This translates into real value and increases overall team productivity through access to this management and design status information. And there's several benefits in terms of increasing overall team productivity and ensuring critical design tasks are completed on the latest version, so you can reduce any type of costly design delays, and reducing total design time by fostering effective collaboration and integrating design reviews. And this will minimize your risk of production errors through the built-in synchronization in the manufacturing data set, so that you can ensure that all the data that you are exporting has been associated. This results in real cost reduction and increased productivity and data protection across each state of the PCB development process, and it efficiently manages the complexity. Now that we've explored the definition of work in process or work in progress design data management and how XDM design solves these problems, we'll take a detailed look into some of the XDM design capabilities available in the upcoming release. We will look at the XDM Design Flow Cockpit, its ability to manage ECAD data and relationships, the web-based collaboration environment, and how design data can be securely exchanged. First, we will look at the Design Flow Cockpit. XDM Design Client is a design flow cockpit that provides easy access to the design tools, and collaboration, and efficiently manages data from a broad range of sources for all your project stakeholders. And as you log into the system, you're securely presented with the projects you have access to. And you can create multiple user roles, such as your administrators or managers or designers, and manage not only the visibility but the actual editing access of specific design files. So at the beginning of a project, you may want a designer to have access to the schematics and edit, but during a design review, you may want to freeze edit and only allow view. Some of the information available within the cockpit is what we call design state information, and this is a group of automatically indexed set of ECAD design properties available at multiple levels, and it includes information like related objects and detailed version data. And you can manage all types of data within the system, your schematic data, your PCB data, or even requirements information, and even use the versioning capabilities within XDM, and even associate those documents to your schematic. But where XDM really shines is its ability to access ECAD data and invoke the Xpedition tools. And this includes the ability to join concurrent sessions, so that if other users are actually editing the design, you will be able to see that, and you'll be able to join the session. And this works for not only the schematics but the PCB view. And you can still use the versioning capability on other files like requirements documentation. For the PCB, you have the access to see what version of the schematic you're connected to. And you can even revert independently to previous versions, or just select a previous version and look at the different property information with respect to that version to see what's changed over time. So in the previous video, we saw how XDM provides a design flow cockpit with integration in Xpedition, the ability to launch Xpedition tools, version management, and the ability to manage associated documentation. And we also saw the design state information, which is the automatic indexing of the ECAD design data at multiple levels with the ability to search on that data. And again, most importantly, the ability to manage the concurrent design process where multiple users on multiple platforms can utilize a shared location to check in and check out multiple versions of independent ECAD objects and see if other users are editing the data and actually join those sessions depending on the type of data being edited.
Now that we've taken a look at the XDM Design Flow Cockpit, let's see how it manages ECAD objects and flows from a work-in-progress state through a baseline all the way to a PLM release. Within the XDM design environment, we can kind of break down the baseline to release functionality where you'll start off in a work-in-progress state and you may need to manage multiple files at multiple versions. So things like a requirements document, schematics, simulation files along with results and the PCB. And during their work-in-progress phase, they will all version independently and all be worked on independently. And there comes a time when you may want to do a peer-to-peer review, and this is where XDM allows you to create what's called baselines. And a baseline will allow you to connect different pieces of your design data. Some may be mandatory, some optional, and some information can be added on the fly. And by creating these baselines, you're providing a set of information that cannot be deleted from the database, and it kind of constitutes the ability to do design reviews. And as that design will progress and get to a final stage, you may want to create a baseline that represents that design completion, where you now want to send out different approvals for that specific baseline so that eventually you will release this as a package to your PLM system to purchasing or to procurement. Another powerful feature of the XDM design flow is that you can create and manage approvals for your ECAD data. Any user has the ability to select an object and request an approval. And as they request an approval, a template will pop up that allows you to choose from existing approval configurations, or you can create one on the fly. And an approval can be as easy as requesting a single user to approve an object, or you can suggest that an entire team review the data, and either one person out of the team or everyone within that team may need to approve that. And you even have the ability to access these approvals, these notifications, and approve them via the web. And with the ability to utilize the collaboration client over an iOS device, you can see, and we'll show later, how you can use the collaboration client to view the design data and then approve that design data. And all this information is actually tracked and ensures you're reviewing your information timely by your design team. And so XDM Design Flow provides design traceability by tracking all the events associated with the design object. So not only the check-in, the check-out, the modifications, or reverting different versions, but again, back to the approvals and who has approved the flow or who has even rejected the flow, and keeps that family tree of information available throughout the design lifecycle. We've taken a look at the XDM Design Flow Cockpit and how it manages ECAD object data. So now let's take a look at the collaboration client. And the collaboration client supports viewing of the design data in a web browser, and so project managers can easily access design state information and do graphical preview with collaboration and analysis. And this is a very quick view of your data and the ability to data mine information, and eventually will enable red line markup on design viewable. So let's take a look at a video of the collaboration client in action.
The XDM web portal allows you to log in from just about anywhere, including an iOS tablet. And as you log in, you will have access to the design information that you can either view or edit, similar to the XDM design client. Within the portal, you can personalize your XDM experience by configuring the XDM web gadgets you would like to have access to, the Notifications gadget, and the XDM Collaborate gadget. The Notifications gadget will present you with all of your preferred notifications with respect to data changes for your projects and allow hyperlinking to the respective data. The XDM Collaborate gadget gives you access to project navigation, favorites, recent objects, and objects you have requested approval or objects that require your approval. Within the navigation pane, you can navigate project data similarly to the design client. You can view all of the version files managed by XDM Design and even select the files, add them to your favorites, or download them to your local machine. Entering the Xpedition board container gives you access to the PCB and schematics. By selecting the schematic or PCB, you can get access to the design state information, graphical preview, and approval flow. At any point, you can select previous versions to view its information as well. By selecting the View button, you will get access to the detailed graphical viewer. This allows quick access to the multiple schematic sheets within a schematic or the multiple layers within the PCB. For the schematic, you can manage the graphical display control information, including visibility, colors, and order. When selecting graphical data within the preview, you have access to a detailed properties window with general symbol data, pin and net information, and property attribute data. The information within the property window is hyperlinked to allow you to select associated reference designators, pins, and/or associated nets. As you select the data, it is highlighted within the preview window. By opening the Design Navigation pane, you can choose which schematic and PCB version to view, and during selection, you can easily see the relationship between versions to see which views have been synchronized. Double-clicking any version will display it in the graphical preview, and when you are within the viewer, you can select to view the PCB only, view the schematic only, or show both views. The graphical preview also provides a simple search mechanism that indexes the property information on both the schematic and board. As you type in values, the system autofills appropriate values, allowing you to easily highlight matches. As you select matches, they are highlighted in the preview window, and you can control whether or not you want the system to zoom in as well. You can also activate the cross-probing option, so as you select items within each view, the associated object is selected in the corresponding window. If we look at the PCB window, you will see the PCB display control offers the ability to define groups of layer of visibility, color, and order, and save them for yourself or share them amongst other users.
In this demonstration, we will take a detailed look at the graphical comparison functionality. Within the Design Navigator, you can select schematic and/or PCB data to view or cross-probe between, and by selecting two versions within your design, you have access to the XCC graphical comparison functionality. And when comparing two graphical items, you can choose which layers you would like to compare, and even have the option to map layers if the layer names have changed from version to version. Within the comparison window, the layers that have differences will be shown along with a count of those differences, and by selecting the layers, you can immediately turn on or off the view of this data. The detailed comparison can either be selected manually, or you can step back and forth through each difference. At any point, the user can select additional layers to compare, and the system will perform the graphical comparison and identify the differences on the fly. As part of the comparison options, you can choose to toggle whether you see common graphical elements, show items unique to the first design, or items unique to the second design. As you can see, this graphical compare provides access to Xpedition Enterprise data to all of your enterprise users.
Lastly, let's look at data exchange with Xpedition design data and some of the challenges with exporting that data. You can see that over time design data has become more complex, and the data exchange is prone to error, specifically if that data structure is not understood. Historically, a lot of these interfaces have been on the fly or ad hoc and are very error prone. We've seen multiple customers, and these challenges have prompted us to introduce Enterprise Data Exchange, or EDX. And EDX is a concept over 10 years in the making, and it was created from an alliance of PCB design specialists from several organizations, and the goal was to create a consistent, fully neutral standard for sharing PCB data. And this was to share it across the enterprise no matter what version of the individual platforms were being used. Reliably integrating PCB design data against all third-party systems has been another major goal of EDX, and this means for the first time different platforms can collaborate with one another safely and securely and version independently, and therefore your data will retain its integrity as it moves through the product development cycle no matter who authored it. And this supports all related PCB data types such as EDIF, ODB++, PDF schematics, parse lists, and fully protects library and design data by controlling modification and access. So in summary, we've taken a look at how to manage the work in process design information milestones to create release data sets, securely share your ECAD data, publish an EDX package for a PLM, and use release projects to create new projects or restore from an ECO. And from this, you can easily see how the combination of XDM and EDX ensure that your data integrity is kept intact. So in conclusion, we reviewed the 3 challenges impacting development organizations, and as design complexity increases, engineers' roles and responsibilities evolve, PCB design tools must become easier to use and optimize the communication among the multiple disciplines. We saw how PLM companies manage design output files, but to manage the native complexity of an ECAD system that allows multiple users to collaborate within the design tools requires the appropriate domain expertise to ensure the accuracy, integrity, and security. Xpedition PCB is used to design the world's most complex designs, integrating multiple disciplines with a focus on ease of use. The new Xpedition PCB design work in process environment achieves this through an intuitive user interface that can be personalized according to your preferred working style. It's easy to learn, and more importantly, it's a very efficient environment that, at the end of the day, means you'll design boards faster than ever before. This concludes the Work in Process Design Data Management webinar, and I highly recommend that you listen to our other series of webinars covering what's new in the latest release of the Xpedition PCB design flow. If there are any questions on this or any other webinar, please don't hesitate to contact us at expedition_questions@mentor.com, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you.